Let's consider an example of coterminal angles. So our example is find the positive angle less than 360 degree or 2 pi that is coterminal to the following, and I have three different parts, part A, part B and part C. So what we are going to do, let's start with very first part, which is part A, and the angle is given as 780 degrees. What we need to do, we need to write 780 degrees in terms of the multiple of 360 degrees. So let's see how we can decompose 780 degrees. So 360 degrees times 2 is basically what? 720. And what do we need to add to make 720 780? So if we add 60, then 720 will be 780. So basically we can write 780 as 60 degrees plus 2 times 360 degrees. So let's try to draw this angle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to consider my x-axis. So this is my x-axis. Let's consider a y-axis, and this is my y-axis. Now let's graph. What we need to graph, we need to graph 360 degrees 2 times. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with my standard position. This is my standard position, and what we need to do, we need to go 360 degree one time and then twice. So we did go 2 times 360 degree, which is what? This part right here. But we need to go 60 degree more. So let's go 60 degree more, which is basically this angle. So the value of this overall angle is 780 degrees. But this angle right here is 60 degrees. So as you can see, 60 degrees and 780 degrees, they share the same initial side and same terminal side. So this is my initial side, initial side, and this is the terminal side. And these two angles, 780 degrees and 60 degrees, they share the same initial and terminal sides. So these two angles are what? Coterminal angles. Alright? So the question says that a positive angle less than 360 degree. So the positive angle less than 360 degrees is basically what? 60 degrees. So 60 degree is coterminal with 780 degrees, and it is also less than 360 degrees. So 60 is coterminal angle for 780 degrees. Now let's consider a part B. Part B is 17 pi over 4. What we can write for 17 pi over 4? We need to convert everything in terms of 2 pi. So I can write 16 pi plus pi is 17 pi over 4. And now I'm going to separate this 4. So I will write 16 pi over 4 plus pi over 4. Now 16 pi over 4 is basically what? 16 over 4 is 4. So I have 4 pi plus pi over 4. If I rearrange this angle, I can write it as pi over 4, and 4 pi can be written as 2 pi times 2. So basically 17 pi over 4 can be written as, so let me write it again, 17 pi over 4 can be written as pi over 4 plus 2 pi times 2. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to graph my angle. So this is my x-axis and this is my y-axis. Now I need to go 2 pi 2 times. So let's go around the circle 2 times. 1, 2. This is my 4 pi because 2 times 2 is 4. So this is my 4 pi. But I need to go pi over 4 more. So pi over 4 is this angle. So this is my again pi over 4. So this whole angle, the one that we just grabbed, is what? 17 pi over 4. And if you remember, this is my initial side and this is my terminal side. And as you can see, this angle is basically pi over 4. So as you can see, 17 pi over 4 and pi over 4. 17 pi over 4, this whole angle right here, and pi over 4 right here, they share same initial and terminal side. So the coterminal angle for 17 pi over 4 is what? Pi over 4. So this is my another answer. And this is my part B. Now let's try the C part of the question. So part C is, my angle is negative 23 pi over 6. Now what we need to do, we need to write the angle plus minus 360 degree plus theta. So I need to write this angle in terms of theta plus minus 2 pi. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write this angle as pi minus pi and then negative 23 pi over 6. So as you can see, I'm adding and subtracting pi with this number, this numerator. So basically when you add and subtract the same number, it does not change the overall value of the expression. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything different. So if I simplify further, what can I do? I can simplify this one as pi and then negative pi minus 23 pi is negative 24 pi over 6. Right? So if I simplify further, I will separate 6. So I will write pi over 6 minus 24 pi over 6. Right? So if we simplify further, I have what? Pi over 6 minus 24 over 6 is 4 pi. Let's simplify further, and if we do that, we have pi over 6 minus 2 pi times 2. Right? So this is how we simplify. Now it's time for us to graph. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to consider my x-axis. So this is my x-axis and this is my y-axis. So as you can see, this is my initial side. I'm going to write it. This is my initial side. Now, if you look at the question, it says 2 pi times 2. So basically what we need to do, we need to go 2 rotations of a circle. But wait a minute, this is negative, which means what? Clockwise direction 2 times, which is like 4 pi. But wait a minute, we have the angle pi over 6 less than 4 pi in clockwise direction. So what we need to do, we need to go 4 pi but pi over 6 less than 4 pi. So, and we need to go clockwise direction. So I'm going clockwise direction. So this is my first cycle. This is my second cycle, but I need to stop over here. Do you know why? Because this angle is pi over 6 less than 4 pi, which completes the second cycle. So my angle would be this angle right here. So this angle, the clockwise direction angle, the value of this angle is basically what? Right here, negative 23 pi over 6. Negative 23 pi over 6. But I'm not looking for a negative number. What I'm looking for? I'm looking for positive angle less than 360 or 2 pi. So the value of that angle would be what? This angle. Which is what? Pi over 6. Because 23 over pi, this angle is pi over 6 less than second complete cycle, which is totally gives us 4 pi. So pi over 6 is my angle that shares the same initial side and terminal side. So if you look closely, negative 23 over 6 and pi over 6, they have the same initial and terminal side. So for negative 23 pi over 6, the coterminal angle would be pi over 6. And pi over 6 is a positive angle. And this is how we will find the coterminal angle for any given angle.